Welcome back to Vintage Classic Solutions. I'm your host, EJ Parker. You are now in my paper time machine. Sit back, relax. Seatbelt is not needed. This is a music edition of my paper time machine for all you musicians and music lovers and songwriters and dancers, ballerinas, people that sell musical instruments and repair them and teach, and whoever wants to watch this. This is Pictorial History of Civil War Era Musical Instruments and Military Bands by Robert Garofalo and Mark Elrod. Can't recall where I got this, but when I found it, I was super happy. I'm a musician. I started playing trumpet as a boy in grade school. Then I switched to the guitar for about a year. Then I fell in love with the bass guitar, and then upright bass, which I continue to play to this day. So I'm curious personally to see, just everything in here. These more obscure instruments. You'll find obscure keys. For example, today a trumpet will be in B flat, most commonly, and back in this era, Civil War era, 1860s, 70s, this era, you find more obscure keys, E flat, C, just all kinds of things. And I think for you non-musicians, just the overall whimsical designs of these early, Civil War era, late 19th century instruments will be interesting. For those keeping score at home, this book was first printed in April of 1985. The fourth printing, which this is April 1993. I was 13 years old in 1993. I just discovered the bass guitar. I think what happened was I shoveled snow and saved some money, and I got my parents to get, we all got together and got this Fender copy Stratocaster, and then within like a couple of weeks, I realized I'm a bass player. I'm like, oh man, it was really hard to get my parents to, get this, guitar, and I had to save some money and everything. It was an arduous journey as a 13-year-old. And then I realized I needed a bass because my brother played drums, and I had a friend that played guitar in the neighborhood, so I'm like, I gotta play bass. And I fell in love with Nevermind, Nirvana, Chris Novoselic's bass lines, and like lead lines, like ostinatos, very musical bass lines caught my ear. And then when Kurt died, I got into jazz because I couldn't find any popular music that floated my boat like Nirvana did. All right, let's focus on this book. What is this? Key bugled in E flat. See, there we go. Look at this thing. This is great. It's like Dr. Seuss horn. Look at this. Key. Now, for those who don't know, keys are typically on. This is gonna be a fun episode. Are on saxophones, right? But you don't see that on a freaking bugle. I've never seen that in my life. Oh my God, I want to find that at a flea market. In 1845, copper with German silver. German silver is like false silver. It's like a mix of various metal alloys. I don't think it really contains silver at all. Wow. Jeez, that's so awesome. E flat key bugler. That's the name of a song. Here comes the E flat key bugler, right? 1860, his instrument appears to have 9 keys with box mounts. Man, it's trying to imagine the sound of that because valves are more airtight. I don't know. Does it give it this is very interesting. Probably sounds quirky and a little bit like just out of tune. You know what I mean? Like a Dr. Seuss horn should. Key bugled in E flat. Man, I hit the nail on the head when I guessed E flat earlier. Here we go, B flat. 1840. Man, do you have one of these? Look at that little twirl. This is like like Dr. Seuss had this book, right? Man, look at that. I do buy and sell antique and vintage instruments, pardon me. I don't come across these things. This looks large. Alto, office, look, what the hell? In E flat. This is almost like a flugelhorn, almost a flugelbugle, bugle in E flat, 1850s. Look at this monstrosity. This looks like a, I don't even know, valve and key soprano sax horn in E flat. E flat was a key. Man. Mouthpieces. You put these into your trumpet or your cornet or your bugle or your horn, your French horn, tuba, trombone, and some could be worth quite, decent amounts of money depending upon the maker. So you would look in this area for a maker's mark and then do your research. You can find those like in knick-knack boxes. Folks don't know what they are usually. Circular cornet in B flat, made by Graves & Co., Boston, early 1860s. German silver, 3-string and rotary valve. Oh wow, so rotary valves are what the French horn has, or the horn. If you play French horn, for example, and you live in Buffalo, New York, it's called a buffalo horn. I'm sorry, I'm a pro musician. I had to sit in the bus, before the internet. I toured the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra before the internet, you know what I mean? It's like when 9/11 happened, I was on tour. I was 21. So we had it was like a bunch of it was like kind of like jail, but on wheels, and it was all musicians, and like you can get off the bus, at truck stops. It was, you were confined to a small area with a bunch of men just telling jokes, because there was no internet back then. It was like 2001. Sorry, I'm full of musician jokes. Anyhow, I got a ton of stories. I gotta start like a, excuse me. Instruments by E.G. Wright. It's gorgeous. I mean, that craftsmanship, that's done by hand, folks. This is, man, 1855. God, dog it. The bell has very beautiful hand etching and detailing. So, good rule of thumb on old trumpets and old horns: the more writing you see like this, usually the more it's worth. I mean, to be very frank, there's more provenance or more history behind the maker, or more pride. They were, more prone to put more text and writing in various. It could be French. Typically, I see a lot of clarinets. But if you see a lot of writing on an old horn, it could be good. When I'm out in the wild, I'm also an antique and vintage dealer. I find most clarinets, and I buy and sell a few clarinets. I see a lot of clarinets. Typically, the old French ones are really good. Can be good. These are amazing. Look at this. What is that? Soprano sax horn. I wanted to show up to like a jam session and be like, yeah, I play sax horn, but I didn't bring mine. Can I borrow one of yours? And be like deadpan serious. Sax horn. And it better be an E flat, otherwise I don't know. You know what I mean? Sax horn. I love it. Does some college offer like you can major in sax horn? There's like one professor that plays sax horn. Talk about a lost art. Sax horn. Just the names alone are outstanding. Look at this. You better have a Honda Civic with a hatchback, or back then you had a horse. You better have an open buggy back or whatever you had back then. Some of these large horns. Cornet in E flat. What's the reason behind E flat? Is that because it's more prone to closer to a human vocal key? There's gotta be a reason behind that, because nowadays it's like B flat or C. I'm trying to think of the reason behind that. There's gotta be some kind of like musical theoretical reasoning behind that, or logic. If you know, leave a comment. Alto horn in E flat. Alto horn in E flat. Jeez. Thanks for joining me. This is My Paper Time Machine. I'm your host, E.J. Parker at Vintage Classic Solutions. This is a Civil War era instruments, like the music edition of My Paper Time Machine. This book I found, I honestly forget where. I tucked it away and just kind of rediscovered it. Look at these things. Does this say how tall this is? I mean, that looks like they could be 3 feet tall. And if it is, that's ridiculous. I mean, it's so funny. Because you would hold it upside down like, oh wait, no, how the hell would you, it wouldn't blow backwards, because you have to blow into this, like a trumpet. And then you're telling me to blow backwards? This is straight up Dr. Seuss world. I don't know, this OTS tenor sax horns. I want to call somebody like, do you guys carry the sax horns? But it's gotta be an E. What key? No, you have like assumptive like this. You gotta call, I don't know, someone you want to just give a hard time and be like, yeah, what key do you have your sax horns in? What key do you guys have your sax horns? You know, like assume they have sax horns and then like just ask what kind of key. Like it better be an E flat, you know, because I'm not playing no B flat sax horn. It's ridiculous. Sax horn, so funny. It's like a bastard. It's like a saxophone. Someone threw a saxophone at like a trombone. You know what I mean? It was like a car accident. Like a trombone player was going to a gig and so was a saxophone player and got into an accident. No one was hurt, of course, except the horns got tangled and mangled. And that's what you get. You get a sax horn. I gotta do some kind of like fake fog music history. I did that. I think I did one with clarinet one. I called it an antique Spanish saxophone. Because when I bought it at the antique store, the sweet old ladies were like, "What is this?" They're like give us some like space age curiosity out. They're like, "What is this?" They're like, "What is it?" I'm like, "It's an antique Spanish saxophone." You know, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's antique Spanish saxophone." No, it's a clarinet. I didn't tell them that, but in my video, I called it that. I made a little joke, a little skit, I think. Obscure instruments. This is outstanding. This is a hidden gem. I don't even mind the fact that they're in black and white, just because the shapes are so fascinating to my eye. Just mangled and tangled. They just got, I mean, what'd you do? I mean, what happened to you if you were an upright alto horn player in E flat, living in New York in the 1870s? The instrument just went obscure. You couldn't get the right valves anymore. You had to like hand make your own hardware to repair your horn. Guys stopped calling you for gigs. They look at you funny. You know what I mean? You show up to the local tavern with your upright alto horn and E flat, and the band kind of takes a break, and they go out to the buggy, horse and buggy. You know what I mean? What happened to these people? These all have stories. Who the hell plays a bell front alto horn in E flat? What the fuck? Look at this thing. It looks like it's from the 1930s, like Buck Rogers. This is from 1856. What the hell? I love it. I love just like the audacity of these designers of these horns. Like, just do it. Just get it done. Just do it. Yes, we can. Bend that brass. It's amazing. Brass is an amazing metal. That's amazing. Clarinets. Woodwinds. In college, they called them the hell sticks. I was a music major. I was classically trained at a music conservatory. Or actually, was it conservatory? I forget. Like the official title. But it was a music college. A really good one or whatever. Subjective. But no, it was good. I went there. I learned a lot. And what happens is, for those who don't know, like if you say you play saxophone and you go to college and you say, I want to play saxophone and get a degree in saxophone, they'll say, yes, come in. It'll be $25,000 a year, don't worry, or a quarter or a semester, just, yes, come on. And then you get in, you get your dorm, you call your friends, you're playing saxophone, and then your first day, they're like, surprise, you got to play this. So they call this the hell stick. All my saxophone playing buddies called it the hell, that were forced to play it, called it the hell stick. But the clarinet in the right hands, wielded properly, can sound really nice. I've been told. All right, let's move along here. Slide trombones. Now these are contemporary instruments we see in orchestras and jazz bands and circuses. Here we have valve trombone in B flat. These typically come out around Christmas time. So if you play valve trombone in B flat, your phone rings from around November 15th, and then, you know, the day after New Year's, you put it back away, you know. You put the fries back in the bag. That's, you know, I got jokes for days, folks. This might just turn into a... Who's this guy? Christopher Spencer, 1855. This young musician was a member of Colt's Army Band at Hartford, Connecticut. His OTS soprano sax horn was probably made by Samuel Graves. Man, look at that horn. Very skinny. Bore. All right, looks very skinny. Rope tension drums. Here we go. Percussion. I love the bass drum. That big fat mallet. I love when I see drummers, the drum sets, use those old, you know, the huge bass drums on a drum set. It looks and sounds cool. Got a certain vibe. Now, I have bought and sold a few antique snare drums. They sell fast, of course, historic value. Anything military sells, and it always goes up in value. Dealers and collectors know that. If you're a dealer of vintage and antique, or a reseller just of, like, you know, thrift store stuff, just do your research, because military stuff can go up and up and up in value, and it can surprise you as far as what's worth what. Wow, these are beautiful. Oh my gosh, this is a work of art. Heraldic eagle, shield. What is this? Logan guard bass drum. So you can tie like regiments and whatever to pieces of musical, you know, instruments. Then the value just it goes through the roof. 1834. So we're way before Civil War. Wow. This early barrel drum was first used by a militia unit whose name was once lettered in a scroll below the state seal, which forms the drum's decoration. Huh. These ropes hold the hoops together, they're the rims, which hold the heads on. You tighten these to make your drum sound tighter. You loosen them to make your drum tone lower and you know, and looser. Drummers can tune their bass drums to exact pitches if they wish to. Bass drum's important, folks. Let me tell you why. I'm a professional bass player. I play, you know, in front of 5 people. I've played in front of 25,000 people. And I was in a really nice wedding band past few years, and you're playing a wedding like through a really big PA system in front of like maybe 500 dancing people, like playing like Bruno Mars hits, and the drummer's bass drum pedal breaks. Then you will quickly realize how important the bass drum is, because your band goes from sounding like just like the album Bruno Mars to sounding like your grandma's AM radio in the garage, because the bass drum's so important. I got stories about that. These are really gorgeous drums. There's drummer jokes too. Oh man. But drummers are great. Drummers are really important. Drummers, I'm a bass player, so drummers and bass players are a team. We're the heartbeat of the band. This is gorgeous. Oh my God, Heraldic Eagle. That is something else. 1864, Philadelphia, PA. Civil War Eagle drum. That's a work of art. I have found some Civil War era drumsticks just like this. I found them at a thrift store and I sold them for decent money. I believe it was north of $100. What are these? Bass drum beaters. What is this? Turkish cymbals. Most of the best cymbals in the world are made in Turkey. Zildjian, Istanbul. There's a ton of companies. especially jazz drummers, have particular tastes. Maybe a lot of, oh, well, that's cool. Band flyers and stuff, posters. So I'll share a funny story that involves music. So I was living in China, and I did a fair amount of teaching because I had enough Mandarin under my belt, Putonghua, to teach. You know, I wasn't fluent, but I don't know, I could get myself in and then back out of trouble in Mandarin. But no, I could speak enough. I mean, I got by for 11 years, so you know, I could do all right. So anyhow, but the problem for me was I could speak general things. Like we can go out to a restaurant and I could order whatever you wanted in Chinese and Mandarin. We can go out and shop for whatever you wanted, and I could help you buy it, and we can take taxis anywhere throughout the country together, and I could be independent. But when it came down to specific technical words for anything, like like an electric fuse, a certain, you know, I don't know, like a certain name of a electronic component, or even musical terminology. Even though I was a musician, like this, because you know the very detailed terms in Chinese, I didn't know. You know what I mean? That's like a background on my Chinese language ability. So anyhow, so this is the story. So I'm living in Shanghai. I'm playing full time with different people, and I'm teaching a bit on the side. And my friend calls me, who's bilingual in Mandarin, and says, "Hey, EJ, we got a gig in Chengdu, China, which is central China. Like here's Shanghai where I live, and here's Chengdu. You fly in the middle, right in the middle of China. It's a gorgeous city." And he's like, "We're gonna play some gigs, and then we'll do like a master class." And I think, however I remember it, was like will, like WE''L, like we will, like us, we'll do a master class. I'm like, great, let's do it, you know. And then fast forward to the gig where we get land in Chengdu. It's a gracious welcome, like welcoming, you know, flowers and ceremonial gestures and beautiful women. You know, it's amazing. Like they're very courteous. There's hostess showing us where to eat, and it's just amazing. You know what I mean? It was like this large musical conference, and we were a part of that. So it was really nice. They treated us really, really well. And then we're taking the van or the bus from like the hotel in Chengdu to Sichuan Conservatory, which is like the largest music conservatory I think in the world, or at least it was back then. And one of the reasons why was, this is all coming back to me now. So there was like an equivalent to, what's it called? Like, is it American Idol, where they sing? I don't have a TV. I don't watch TV. But like a talent. You know what I'm talking about? Like America's Got Talent, right? American Idol. Like you sing, you're no one knows who you are, but you sing, and then all of a sudden, if you're really good, you're famous. So China has the same exact thing. I've even performed on some of those shows. And what happened was, one of like the singer that got like really famous, it was a lady, like a young woman that was a student at the conservatory. She was a singing major, vocal major, and I think she won, and she became like a huge celebrity within China. And then of course mega rich, and she was, I mean, just filthy rich and famous. You know what I mean? Excuse me. So I keep turning the pages. So everyone they made the school famous, and students flocked there, and so we're going to this on the bus to this college. It's the back, right? So, and then on the way there, I'm like, so this is like a master class where are we like kind of just playing together in front of like a group of students? Because now I'm asking the details. You know what I mean? Now that we're like going to the actual obligated contractual event that I have to perform at. so I'm like, so now I'm asking questions on the bus right there. So I'm like, so is it like we just perform as a band, like all 5 of us? You know, we were like a 5-piece group, jazz group, you know, modern, complicated jazz. And my friend was kind of like vague, like, and then my other friends kind of chimed in, like, yeah, so, you know, what is the deal? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? And my friend's like, well, I don't know, you know. And then the closer we got, like the details came out that no, you'll be separated individually for like a 4-hour master class with individual studios. So I have to do a 4-hour master class with the bass students, like the bass studio, and they're all, they're all Chinese students, you know what I mean? So I have to do this in Mandarin. So let me just say that it really stretched the limits of my Mandarin ability. I was using interpretive dance, and I was, crawling around on the floor. No, but it was great. They're great students. I'm friends with some of those. We were friends, and I mean, I've kind of lost touch a little bit, but it's a fun city, and the musicians are a tight-knit group, and we'd hang out and go eat together and jam. It was so much fun. But that was I taught a 4-hour master class, valve, trombone, and E flat in Mandarin. I mean, it was fun. It was fun. It was just like the shock of knowing you had to do it. Then once you got in the room and they shut the door on you, and you have my bass. I got my bass. I can do anything. You know what I mean? Just demonstrate and talk about it. Demonstrate, talk about it. You know what I mean? Have questions. What's going on here? So that's my funny story. I'm full of those too, by the way. I like to talk too, by the way. So if someone brought this up, like I think there's a genre of video of like just people talking. Like, I get it, because people like white noise, or like that storm, like it's very descriptive, like a stormy night in a log cabin. You know what I mean? On a foggy Friday or whatever. And it sounds like that. Or you're on an old wooden boat. But I'm just a person talking about just whatever. I'm just kind of giving. I'm just yakking away. This really isn't even pop culture commentary. But I think I have some decent stories to share, and if you like it, it's cool. If not, you just skip ahead. This is. Let me see what we have here. Marine band. Wow, it even comes with a record. Oh my god, a record. That's awesome. This is like pre-internet, right? Like, how would you hear these horns? You couldn't jump online. Think about that. This is like 1993. Here we have a handwritten manuscript, Dixie and the Bonnie Blue Flag. This is from the year, doesn't say. Very nice manuscript, handwritten manuscript. Look at this horn up top. Sam Mickey's E flat concert with slide action rotary valves. That's an obscure, pretty much unseen now technology or mechanism in a horn. Slide action rotary valves. Oh, so here's the horns. And the gentleman holding these horns proudly. Man, look at that long-necked horn, man. I'll tell you what. That's like shenanigans happen with that. Like tuba players are always like sneak up behind you and go, boo! They laugh like Scooby-Doo. So they did in like junior high and high school. Rightly so, though. That's what tubas are designed for. Their other use is the boom, 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 boom. The old Price is Right, you screwed up song or jingle. That's awesome. I love how that's in memes now, because I was like 3 or 2, and like Price is Right was going on TV. I remember that boom, 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 boom. Someone just biffed it, some game. What the heck is this? This is like a early motorcycle engine with the exhaust horn. Soprano sax horn in A flat, made by J. Lathrop Allen, 17 Harvard Place, Boston. Oh my God, A flat. Excuse me, do you guys repair soprano sax horns in A flat that are marked J. Lathrop Allen? Can you check? Can you ask your manager? I'll hold. Okay. Did you write that down? No, you want to write this down because you probably won't remember that. Can you remember it? You do? Okay, so what did I ask you to repair? You see, you already forgot. So get a pen and paper. I tell you, folks, I'm full of just monkey business. that's how my, I did a side job, or I worked full time as on the phones in sales, and I didn't like it, but I was really good at it. And I talked to probably like 10,000 people, and I sold most of them. But you learn the tricks, you know what I mean? I'm not, people aren't dumb, and I'm not dumb, and there were some stories, man. There was like one notorious guy. I won't mention the company. I probably can't, and I won't. It's a really like well-known company, and I worked in the phones and sales. I'll say that. And there was a well-known guy that would call in, and like it was like so well-known, like the elders in the company would be like, "Oh, did you ever get a call from, I'll just make the name like, Soupy Sam. I'll make up a name." And I'm like, "I did." And he's like, yep. And it was like this guy, he like a prolific caller for decades, would call in and he would just talk to you in circle. I mean, just really go. Like, you got 8, just talk about what he's got and what he doesn't. And oh my God, I can't get into too much detail, I guess, but my point is, because he got me once. He got me. Soupy Sam got me, and then tricked me once. Shame on you. Tricked me twice. Shame on me. So Soupy Sam was like, he made this obscure order, like, yeah, I'm gonna need XYZ 0.537, and I'm just like, oh God, in my head, right? I'm like, I'm very courteous and polite. But in my head, I'm like, God, give me a freaking break. Take a hike, And he's like, at 0.3792, and I'm like, all right. I'm like, yes. He's like, you got that? I'm like, yes. I'm like, yeah, I'll right away we'll get the. And he's like, all right, well, read it back to me. Or okay, so what did I want? And I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? All right, he got me. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't writing it down, and when I should have been, even though it was Soupy Sam. But my point is, I don't know. I'm not sure what my point is. My point to you is, thank you for being a part of this spectacular music edition of My Paper Time Machine. And as always, thanks for checking in.